Welcome to the first ever episode of Question and Answer, where today's question is, what is the difference between serendipity and synchronicity? I'm speaking to you from an English garden, and nothing quite ignites the lions of this English poet's soul like the English lavender of an English garden. However, I'm soon going to be talking like this because I'm going to Hamburg. That's actually more Arnold and Austrian. The Germans, they are much more precise. And they always look for a lot of agreement, yeah? And I feel like I should be wearing little tiny spectacles. That I'm not really sure why, but anyway. So what's the difference between serendipity and synchronicity? Well, first let's look at, I think, what they have in common. And I think that serendipity and synchronicities are mirrors of our internal world reflected in the external world. So these serendipities and synchronicities are connected to our thoughts and our state of being. And they arise from our internal world and are reflected and occur in our external world to demonstrate that we are the creators, that we are powerful creators. And they always show up to let you know that you're on the right path, or you're in alignment, or you're right where you're supposed to be. As far as what the literal definitions are, synchronicity was a term coined by Carl Jung, and the dictionary definition is an apparently meaningful coincidence of time of two or more similar or identical events that are causally unrelated. But we know that they are not. They are related, and they're related through our thoughts. Serendipity was a term coined by Horace Walpole in 1754, who was an English writer and I believe a congressman. And it was coined for, it was an ability possessed by the heroes of a fairy tale called The Three Princes of Serendip. And the dictionary definition is an accidental discovery. So as an example, yesterday I was walking along the street and I was, thinking about how I need to get out of my head and into my heart. Because I've kind of been in a little bit of a contraction, like, where do I go next? What do I do? I'm just winging it over here. And so I realized, okay, I got to put my energy and awareness in my heart, because heart is the place of trust. And as I'm thinking this, I look down on the ground, and perfectly squared to me is a little tiny, about that big, red heart candy. And I just looked down and I was like, whoa. So these serendipities and synchronicities should always, they don't occur if they don't grab your attention, but usually they grab your attention in a big way. An example of synchronicity was many years ago when I was trying to bust into the advertising agency. And the way to do that is you usually go to art school, and then you go to an agency in New York, and then Chicago and LA, and that's how you ping pong your way to the top and all that. But I couldn't get in because I didn't take that route. And I was not working this one winter. And I was just, every day I was meditating on, trying to get that job in the advertising agency, because I thought it was going to fulfill this creative itch. And at the same time, I was meditating on my worthiness and like getting the amount of money I wanted. And this one winter afternoon, I had nothing to do. So I was like, I'm going to go repot my plants. So I went to this store, and I'm walking home with this huge bag of potting soil on my shoulder. And I'm walking past this parking garage, which is diagonally across the street from my apartment. And this car comes and like slams on the brakes. And I'm like, whoa, chill, bro. And the window rolls down, and the guy's like, Tim? And I'm like, Hart? And I didn't realize that I had a friend who was the creative director on the T-Mobile account there. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, repotting my plants. I have nothing else to do. I don't know. And he's like, do you need work? And I'm like, yeah, I need work. And he's like, send me your stuff. So I go home and I send a bunch of work examples, and I asked for $75 an hour, which was a lot for me at the time. And I was really nervous about sending it. And I sent it, and I don't hear anything that day. I don't hear anything the next day. Finally, the following morning, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was so busy, but how about we just give you an $800 a day rate? And I was like, okay. So I wound up making more than I had asked for. And the project was supposed to be 2 weeks, and it turned into 6 weeks. So I made all of this money in 6 weeks that I had not been, and more, that made up for the time I wasn't working that winter. And this incident of synchronicity, because it had to do with time, being at the right place at the right time, which serendipity could also sort of do that, but synchronicity is an element of time, I believe. It arose from my creation in my internal thoughts, and the answer was diagonally across the street, which is kind of nuts. So there's two examples of serendipity and synchronicity. So yeah, I think they just exist to show you that you're on the right path, but they are connected and arise from our thoughts and our state of being. They are not causally unrelated. You are the first cause. You are the creator. So again, what I always talk about, but this is why it's so important for you to be aware of your thoughts. And I have not been doing a good job of that lately. And I've also been out of my meditation practice. I've been over here for like a week, and there was jet lag. Of course, I'm making excuses, but there was jet lag, and then we were going to Wimbledon every day, and totally out of a routine. But you know, I would say to anybody, well, make freaking time for the routine. So, that's what I'm going to do. And anyway, that is the difference between serendipity and synchronicity. And I could not help myself throwing a few stories in there because I'm a storyteller. And that's what storytellers do. Ta.